Greetings, kindred. I hope you're all doing well. I can't believe that we're already at the eclipse season, so there's a lot of planetary events happening this year with this Pluto entering into Capricorn and Mercury retrograding through Aries, and the new moon solar eclipse takes place in Aries just because the moon and sun will be at 0 degrees in Aries, although the eclipse will occur a couple of hours beforehand. So we will already be in full effect of the eclipse when the new moon begins. The new moon will begin on the 20th of April, which is tomorrow. I'm recording this on the 19th. I did think it was going to be on the 21st for some reason. Don't ask me why. So it will occur at 5:12 in the GMT time zone, at 00:12 just after midnight in the EDT time zone, and at 14:12 in the AEDT time zone. And the new moon solar eclipse will take place in Aries astronomically. Now, like I said, the eclipse will begin about 2 hours beforehand. So by the time the new moon begins, the solar eclipse will be at its peak. So yeah, we'll already be in that energy. So the build up to this is going to be very, very powerful. And especially since, we've got a little stellium here with our new moon, with the goddess Vesta and the North Node. I feel the rest of this summer is going to be very, very active. And I've mentioned that in a few of my recent podcasts anyway. I just feel that this year is going to be very, very similar to 2020, only it's a lot more kind of complicated because it involves various different sectors of our lives. Do you know what I mean? So I also feel that there's a very, very big spiritual awakening. I don't really want to use the word awakening, but definitely a spiritual awareness is growing, so where people are really coming into their intuition, where they feel things aren't right, but also mentally, on a mental level, I feel people are getting a lot more clarity about their lives and the potential future where things are heading. Although we could also be thinking a lot about the past with the new moon taking place in Aries and the solar eclipse. So it could be a case of like our heads are a little bit stuck in the past and, but our bodies are very much in the present. So it could be a lot of stirring up of past events, do you know what I mean? Or a lot of nostalgia about the past. And that is kind of like energizing us, really, in a way. It's kind of energizing us to, spring into action. And, as soon as the new moon begins, there's a T-square aims against our new moon solar eclipse, the goddess Vesta in the North Node. Now, this little stellium here is very, very empowering anyway, but the 0 degrees, wow, that is actually the number of Pluto. So it's very infinite. It's very powerful. There's a great depth to that number. And it's a little bit off key as well, because it's not really earthbound. And we've also got Pluto at 0 degrees in Capricorn, making this T-square, like opposing the goddess Pallas in Gemini, and creating a square towards this little new moon stellium. And but also, Jupiter is involved as well. So, you know, Pluto in opposition to the goddess Pallas, I mean, that can be very intimidating, very authoritarian. It can stir up a lot of resentment about those who don't want to play ball, you know, for those that feel they're being imposed upon. So, you know, this authoritarian attitude is where we can take things too far. And it's like the harder we push is the more resistance that is created. And, you know, we're seeing that around the globe at the moment, you know, in solar eclipses do represent external events globally, whereas the lunar eclipses is more inner, it's more about inner revelations, whereas the solar eclipse is more about outer revelations. So there is definitely a lot coming to the surface, you know, especially with the moon in conjunction to the goddess Vesta, because that really does stir up a lot of passion, a lot of desire. It's really about protection, willing to step out of our comfort zones, really, you know, and make that spiritual connection with others. So I just feel that there's a lot of communities coming together, you know, reaching out, you know, we're meeting people at certain events. And, you know, again, it's like a summer of unity, but it's unity under stress. Do you know what I mean? So it could also mean that we could be uniting with people from our past, especially since Mercury is about to go into full retrograde mode on the 21st. So the day after the new moon solar eclipse. And I have actually written an article for all three phases of the Mercury retrograde, which I will link below this video. And I've also done a video on Pluto entering into Capricorn, but I also cover his retrograde as well through back into Sagittarius. So I'm going to link that one below as well because they're very relevant to this time now. But with Mercury going into retrograde and with this T square here, you know, against the moon and sun, and the fact that it is actually a solar eclipse, I would just say, you know, we need to just watch out for mind-blowing, you know, situations or being absent-minded, or our heads could be a little bit all over the place, or maybe it's just about timing. You know, our timing is very much out of sync. And, you know, we may lose track of our days or lose track of our hours. I feel that Aries energy is very much, you know, out of sync with timing. Aries and Taurus, I feel, can be always late to the table. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of energy. Aries, because he's just so busy, you know, in his activities that he just doesn't realize the time. And with Taurus, he's just a slow mover. But, you know, in this instance, globally, I just feel our timing is all over the place. Our heads could be a little bit all over the place. And also, you know, there could be so much information coming in, you know, with the goddess Pallas in Gemini. And also Mars, the ruler of Aries, is in Gemini. So, you know, I just feel this is more of a mentality energy where our heads can be all over the place and we're not keeping track of time, or we're either being too fast or we're being too slow. You know, things are happening just at such a fast pace right now. I just feel that the days are going even more quicker than they normally do, and time has sped up, I would say, since around about 2012. I would just say, you know, time has sped up a little bit since then. But this period of time, you know, solar eclipses last around about 6 months. So I would say over the next 6 months, you know, things are going to feel pretty out of sync. But, you know, there's going to be an amazing energy that we can tap into. And it's very regenerating, especially on a mental level. So we're going to be really quick to pick up on things. You know, information is going to fly around very quickly. And I just feel there's going to be a lot of communication, a lot of debates. But there's also this pressure, this dominance circulating as well. Like I said, the more that dominance is pushed, is more that we will resist it, you know, depending on what side of the fence we're on. Also, with the moon in square to Pluto, it creates a very uneasy atmosphere. And, you know, but it can also make us feel like we want to break free of anything that's restricting us in our lives. But it can also be a time of like a lack of tact when it comes to communication. We can be very abrupt and blunt on one hand. On another hand, it could just be all about big changes, you know, big changes or coming up with big solutions to drastic changes. So, you know, this is a very push and pull energy over the next 6 months. You know, we're going to see a lot of ups and downs because we have this double-sided kite here with Pluto, the goddess Ceres, Juno. You know, in the UK, we've got a pretty thick one here, but I'm not going to talk about that at the moment because this is not so much relevant with the Black Moon there. The only thing I would say about the Black Moon Lilith is that she's flipping backwards and forwards in opposing Pluto and Saturn. So, you know, at the moment she's opposing Saturn. So it can very much create this feeling like everything's just falling apart. We can feel very burdened with this energy. I mean, whether she's opposing Saturn or Pluto, we can tend to feel very overburdened with our load, you know, but with Saturn, it's more about we just feel like everything's just falling apart around us. And we can actually lose hope, especially with this new moon solar eclipse in Aries and with Mars in Gemini. Like I said, we can be very much out of sync with timing. And, you know, so that we can lack discipline when it comes to that. And this opposition doesn't help either. The goddess Vesta, though, in square to Pluto, again, it's about power and control, but it's also a demand on a spiritual calling. You know, so some of us will really feel pulled towards our spiritual mission in life. And there will be this need to heal deep wounds. And we can get that through spiritual practices, through alternative therapies. I mean, I just posted up in my Facebook group the other day about the importance of earthing and grounding. And I think I might link that video below as well. The only thing for those of you on Rumble or BitChute, the video is on YouTube, so I'm not sure if I should link that or not. I don't feel I should, but if you have access to YouTube, I would recommend that you go to my YouTube channel because it's Star 13 Star Sign Astrology. The same really as here on any other platform that I'm showcasing this video on at the moment. So, you know, please do, if you want to know all about earthing and grounding and the benefits of it, I mean, it's amazing. So, yeah, it's going to be very intense emotionally this time. And, you know, the Aryan influence, this moon in Aries influence is also very quite dominating, but it can also be very argumentative. You know, there's very strong opinions and, you know, but sometimes the energy can just be a need to antagonize. So we just need to watch out for that and watch out for being over impulsive. And it's all very well being independent, but no one's an island. So we need to learn to work with others of a like mind or find those of a like mind. Because I feel throughout this summer, you know, again, there's going to be like soul connections taking place throughout this time. Soul tribes, soul connections. Jupiter isn't actually a part of the T square, but he is in square to Pluto, although it's in separation, you know, so it's something that's been going on already and is coming to a close, but it's very dogmatic energy. You know, it's all about reforming our belief structures, but it's also becoming a law unto ourselves. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as we're doing it in a spiritual way rather than a materialistic way. You know, so if we're being materialistic in our demands or, you know, yeah, basically just in our demands, then, you know, that is not the right way to go about things, and that will stir up a lot of resentment. But if we are making demands for, you know, the spiritual aspect, for the benefit of mankind, for the benefit of those we love, not just for ourselves, then that is the right way to use that energy. And, you know, this conjunction here, I mean, the goddess Vesta was conjunct Jupiter and Chiron, wasn't it, at the last full moon? There was actually a little stellium here. And, you know, so this is coming to an end as well, this conjunction with Chiron and Jupiter. And this was all about self-empowerment. It was all about breaking free of narrow-mindedness and, you know, developing wisdom and awareness and being drawn towards more organic measures and trying to find wholeness, you know, when it comes to the mind, body, and soul. But it's also a breaking free of mind control in situations. So whether that be in relationships or on a global political, social level, you know, I feel many have kind of broken out of that pattern, especially with the goddess Pallas here in Gemini. Information comes in very fast into our minds with the goddess Pallas. In Gemini, we're very quick to see patterns, but these recognitions can come in quite erratically. And it takes time for us to get our heads around things sometimes if we're not, you know, used to that kind of energy. So with Mars again in Gemini, it really is putting an emphasis on all that mental energy that's coming in. So, you know, just watch out for headaches as well. Just watch out for headaches, maybe with the eyes, maybe, you know, we may need to rest the eyes more, cucumbers on the eyes. Do you know what I mean? You know, stuff like that. Our eyes may be quite sensitive at this time. So, you know, with this double-sided kite we have that's on a global level, I mean, there, you know, one side of it points to the goddess Pallas, and the other one, we need to not get these, is to the goddess Juno. I would say that, Pluto is the strongest energy of the sky, but it will take us from seeing the larger picture, recognizing patterns, into what we are committed to, what we are loyal to. So as we see more, as we recognize more, we will also commit more. And the thing about Aries is he is the protector. He does hold, high value when it comes to justice and people's rights. So the goddess Juno here in Aries is really about commitment and loyalty to a mission, and in Gemini, it's a mission that takes us outside, even though actually Gemini rules the fourth house of home. It's all about, technology, the media. Our homes are full of gadgets in this day and age, and that's been escalating over time. So we've got computers in our homes, we've got all these smart gadgets in our homes. Well, not all of us, but some of us. But we're very much connected to the outside world from home in this day and age, where we wasn't before. We would have to literally take our physical bodies outside the home to find connection with others. We did have the telephone, but now we can actually speak to each other like we're in the same room. Do you know what I mean? Even just by our phones, let alone a computer. So, I just feel there's going to be a lot of communication. There's going to be a lot of outdoor events as well, because Aries, he is a bit of a tracker. He does love the outdoor life. We can also feel like we need to clear clutter out of our homes as well, or clutter out of our lives. So it could be a case of letting go of things too, so we can travel lighter. Because I feel clutter creates baggage, or a sense of baggage. So whether that's with people or things, really, I feel we need to let go of what's holding us down or what's making us feel heavy. And I just feel that will give us space to empower ourselves. The only thing we need to watch out for is taking our commitments a little bit too seriously, because, with Aries, the loyalty and the commitment can be, to their detriment. Let's just say that. So, we need to keep everything lightweight. But, the one thing I love about the Aryan energy is very protective over their families. Not the only star sign that are, but, we're talking about the Aryan energy at the moment. And there's an awful lot of planets in Aries right now. We have the solar eclipse taking place in Aries, and is involved in a little stellium here with the goddess Vesta in the North Node. And then we have another little stellium here with Mercury, who's in shadow at the moment, is about to go retrograde on the 21st. Uranus, that's been transiting through Aries for the last few years, and now the goddess Juno. So, I just feel there's a lot of energy there, a lot of sudden, explosive energy as well, or very impulsive energy, more so than explosive. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I just feel like there could be sudden uprisings or sudden bursts of energy. But I think we just need to also watch out for becoming over obsessed with things as well, especially with Venus in Taurus. We can become very obsessed in what we desire, especially when it comes to intimate relationships as well. Maybe we are thinking too hard about a person in our lives, or about a person from our past. You know, sometimes it's just memories come flooding back. Sometimes it's a recognition of what we need to let go of as well, if we've been carrying emotions for someone from the past. Or it can be a time of, you know, uniting as well. I just feel this is an out of the blue time coming up for us as well, you know, and again, there's all this strength and empowerment going on with it, which is absolutely fantastic. So definitely, you know, soul connections, even though things feel like they're falling apart, even though everything may seem a little bit dark at the moment. You know, a lot of people have been dealing with childhood traumas or past wounds of abandonment issues. You know, there's just been so much going on in the respect of healing, because when we come into self-empowerment, we're also releasing a lot of stagnant emotions or stagnant energy. And, you know, I don't think we're going to have a problem with stagnant energy throughout this next 6 months. I feel we're going to really have a lot of energy to run with, but it needs to be released in moderately and not sort of like powerfully, unless we're, you know, it's a spiritual power that we're releasing. Do you know what I mean? Coming from our intuition and our intellect, you know, because our intuition and our intellect need to be in balance for it to be productive. So we can't just fly off the handle. Although, you know, I feel like we're being stirred up to that in some instances. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, some people may want to antagonize, and it's a deliberate antagonization just for a reaction, just for a response. But what is behind that? That's what we need to be aware of, or beware of. You know, what is behind that? But, you know, at the same time, it kind of is what it is. You know, and we need to just, you know, because Chiron is in square to Mars in Gemini, we mustn't lose our sense of self-worth. Do you know what I mean? That's what we all need to be building on. Like this empowerment, this spiritual empowerment isn't for us to sacrifice anything, you know, that's nurturing our soul or nurturing our bodies or our mind. You know, it's about staying in that place of I deserve, you know, and I think Venus in Taurus can help us to do that, you know. So we must really work on our confidence if we're not feeling confident at the moment, or if we're in doubt of anything that's in our lives, if we're in doubt of our, you know, our work or our creativity or our abilities, whether it's intellectual or creative, you know, we must always stay in a place of confidence. Because like I said before, timing is a little bit out of sync, and our heads could be a little bit too much all over the place. So, you know, we just need to wait for a more calmer time, maybe. So we mustn't lose faith in ourselves. We mustn't lose confidence in ourselves. If anything, you know, if we're feeling that way, then that is the time to do some healing work. And alternative therapies are fantastic, especially the earthing and grounding. The best way to do it, I mean, for grounding, I say put your feet and your hands on concrete. That is kind of grounding. And that will also, you know, absorb, the concrete will absorb all the stagnant energy out of your body. But, you know, for the electromagnetics and for, you know, recharging, I would definitely say you need to put your foot on grass or soil. So, you know, we mustn't take things to heart and keep ourselves as much as we can in a place of balance. Because, like I said, the energies are going to be big and fast throughout the next 6 months, you know, leading up to the lunar eclipse, which will take place on the 5th of May in the sign of Libra, astronomically. And I will do a video closer to the time of that. And like I said, Mercury will go into full retrograde on the 21st of April. Yeah, and Pluto will go into retrograde on the 1st of May. So, Kindred, I'm going to leave it there. And yeah, sending you all peace and much love. Take care.